This is Dave the Zombie, and I was going to go and enlist his very helpful sales patter to go and show you around the physical version of Chump, which is my next book. But I had one fundamental flaw to that, and that's he's inanimate. I mean, he's very cool looking, don't get me wrong, but he's not really going to help, apart from just do that. So he's going to toddle off here, and I'm going to go and show you Chump, which is my collection of zombie stories, because it says right there. And first off, Mr. Rich Hawkins has very kindly said some words which didn't involve cheese, which is very pleasant of him. So, what the hell is it? Well, obviously it's a book. But there's one thing that will hit you straight away, and it's the size. I've kind of done it again, really. This is a standard 5x8 book, and this is a 9x7.25 or something. Now, you may kind of wonder, what the hell are you doing? You've kind of done this again. Why can you not keep any of your books a consistent size? Mainly because one very cool thing, which I'm going to show you very shortly. So first off, look at the cover, because you already are. Very killer zombie in a bear suit. On the back, you've got a zombie fish, because every book needs some zombie fish. And you've got the EyeCue product icons, which go and kind of list all the funky things you can expect to go and see in there, and this is called a barcode. Quite handy, unless you're a hitman and you have them tattooed on the back of your head. So obviously you'll notice it's very, very okay. I mean, it's, you know, kind of like an illustration-y kind of storybook kind of size, which is kind of one thing I was after with the actual sort of big size of it. You can almost imagine reading it out to a small school class of people eager to hear about the undead. Probably not going to happen because there's a few swear words in it and it is a little gory. But the main reason why is because lovely and plain. My God, there's colour! Lovely and plain. Ah! See, brains. See, there's brains there, and Dave has got brains. So I think that's probably why he wanted in on this little shindig. So yeah, and again at the back as well. This is a duplex cover. I've done the same on class 4, but this one I just wanted to do something a bit different. I just thought it's quite plain, it's quite boring, it's quite white. So I just thought, hey, which is again one of the reasons why, in my opinion at least, physical books you just can't beat, because you can put these lovely little touches to them. You spend ages slaving away on the words, but you need to go and actually put a little pizzazz into it. So when someone does actually go and buy it, rather than say on Kindle, which again, nothing against Kindle because they are quite handy, you actually just kind of think, well, you know what, this dude actually put some time into this, he cares, he wants you to go and actually, you know, pick it up, have a bit of a mooch. So you kind of get past that. And the bird on the cover, so there you've got 8 stories. I know you're thinking there's 9 there, Duncan, what the hell, you can't even count, you must be drunk or something. No, because this lady, I thought, well, it's all well and good having a zombie dressed in a bear suit on the cover, but people are kind of wondering, why the hell have you got a zombie dressed in a bear suit on the cover? And she actually appears in Dead Drop here, which is a sort of novella-length story. I thought, well, it's all well and good, but she's rather cool, so I kind of made a little origin story, which is called Millie. So open it up, and there she is again. Woo! But it's not really a story as much as a poem. Because why not? With Chump I wanted something to be a bit different, so I've got all different types of stories in there. So for example, 28 Seconds Later has got infected zombies in there. I'm not even getting into the whole debate where it's infected or zombies, because again you'll just start me off and have an aneurysm. But each of the stories have got a little illustration to begin with. So this is Cure AILS YA, which is my Wild West zombie story. Particularly thanks to Thomas S. Flowers III, who's been sort of reminding me for a while now that I've been wanting to go and get a Wild West zombie story done, so I have done. But yes, so all the stories, what's a bit of luck, have got a wonderful illustration in front of it, and they're done by a guy called John Dixon. His website is dixondoesdoodles.com. I met him down at Bristol HorrorCon last year, where he sells all kinds of really cool zombie stuff, and he's done all the illustrations for me, and that includes Mr. Zombie Fish. So yeah, so each of those little stories, just because again, as a kid I love Roald Dahl and I love the Quentin Blake illustrations and stuff, and there's nothing quite like having just something to break up the monotony of just a wall of words. And especially when you've got something as cool as zombie fish, or just things with dribbles and stuff like that, then it just kind of just breaks up the monotony. And again, I say, physical book. I personally prefer physical books over Kindle, and while these illustrations are on the Kindle copies, they're just not as cool, really, I don't think. And I kind of appreciate the fact that physical books are a bit more expensive. I, again, waste money. That's not my current TBR. So it's just good to go and put a bit of extra love and care and attention into them, so that when you, should you go and choose to go and splash your cash on them, you just get something a little bit more worth it, in my opinion, at least anyway. So yeah, that's Chump. 8 stories on the undead. I know 9, but 9 is technically a poem, so it's not even a story, really. All the links and stuff to go and buy will be at the end of the video. If you want a signed copy and you're in the UK, you can get it through my website, and if you're really quick, I might even chuck in a limited edition 28 seconds later postcard. So yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. He's out. He's got nothing more to say. So yeah, cheers then. Bye bye.
May 7th, 1984. Novogorsk District. Khimki Sports Preparation Facility. Comrade Slutsky, I trust your journey was amicable? Dr. Yedlin inquired, holding his sweaty hand out to bid the inspector welcome. With a face seemingly carved from granite, Dmitry Slutsky peered down at the diminutive man in the proffered greeting. Doctor, the taxi ride from my home to the train station was a nightmare. The driver you hired, seemingly intent on killing us both in an unsealed suicide pact. The 18-hour train journey you arranged for me after was hell manifested in reality. This is before I had experienced the so-called driving of the man you sent to ferry me from the station. He picked me up on a moped, which was ill-prepared to hold my luggage. No doubt this has now been stolen and its contents sold around town. However, I would gladly do it all again than spend another second in that lift. Slutsky pointed to the rickety metal tube behind him, which, even after his departure, still shook and rattled. Yedlin smiled nervously and wiped his hands over his lab coat. Apologies, Inspector. When this facility was constructed, the Politburo thought it more prudent to spend the money on the laboratories than the lift. If it is any consolation, you'll get used to it. In time. Slutsky ran a hand into his tightly closed jacket and retrieved a leather-bound notebook and stainless steel pen. Emphasizing the point by clicking on the end of the pen, he scribbled inside the book, before replacing both back in their respective pocket. No, Doctor, it is of no consolation whatsoever. Now, if we can attend to business, the games start in a little over 3 months, and I am yet to be convinced of the merit of your work. My superiors have demanded I report on its progress. Failure may result in certain personnel being relocated. The doctor intercepted a bead of sweat which bloomed in his hairline. Relocated, you say? Somewhere tropical like Cuba? I've longed to see Havana in the summertime. Slutsky leant in closer, nearly overpowering the man with the smell of cloves. No. Siberia labor camp. Mining for salt. Yedlin gulped. I see. Well, there will be no need for that, I assure you, Inspector. The final batch of athletes from our Warsaw Pact comrades arrived this very morning. They are all ready and waiting for their last round of injections and testing. Good. Where shall we start? Well, this facility is broken down into 3 sections. We have the track athletes down here, the field athletes and all of their equipment behind you, with the weightlifters in the corridor behind, young Bolyakov there. Which do you fancy? Taking a few minutes to ponder, Slutsky thumbed to the corridor behind him. Everyone can run and lift weights. I've always believed that the greatest skill lies in our field athletes. Shall we? Bolyakov, The designated guard for the inspection slapped his AK-47 a number of times, bringing the weapon finally to his shoulder. This merely received withering looks from Slutsky, who made another note in his book. The central hub was perfectly circular, with a security office straddling the lift to the surface. The facility was stashed away under an abandoned playground, with rusty radiation signs keeping people out. The lift entrance above ground was cunningly hidden within a block of boarded-up toilets. An array of trolleys and sack trucks were shoved against the wall in the hub, having been used to transport all manner of athletic equipment into the underground facility the previous day. Bordering each of the tunnels, which ran to their respective laboratories, were thick steel airlock doors, guarded around the clock by assault rifle-wielding soldiers. Everyone was issued with an ID card, which was required at all times, lest he incur the wrath of a barrage of 7.62mm rounds ripping their body apart. After running through the security checks with the guards and signing in, the party of 3 were allowed admittance to the tunnel. Slutsky smirked, not sufficiently obvious for anyone to notice, but enough for his face to recognise muscles that were hardly ever used.